Okay. Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach. I want to welcome you to the Lighthouse project as we continue our study of water. This is not actually another chapter of water, but due to that series, I stumbled upon this subject, and I dug and I was able to find something incredible. Tonight's lesson is about Seudat Livyatan, special meal, this unique meal that comes at the end of days. And it has its roots in the beginning of days, in the time of Bereshit. So it's sort of a continuation of the series, but it's not. We're not going to talk about water. We're going to talk about this Livyatan and everything around it. So let's get ready to go real deep to the abyss as we explore this Seudat Livyatan. Before we get started, I'd like to give an honorable mention to the learning that is being dedicated in memory of Devorah Figa bat Shmuel Zichrona Livracha and Moshe ben Shoshana Zichrona Livracha, and for the Refuah Shelema of Yaakov ben Penina and Menachem ben Sabatya and David ben Zohara, Yaniv ben Rinam, Sarah bat Alia, Ishayahu Yosef ben Zari, betoch klal chole amo Yisrael, and especially to a young man who is he's in danger right now. His life is on the line. Edan Chaim ben Violet Chayam. Be'ezrat Hashem, that this would be to the Refuah Shelema and lehavdil leilui nishmat of Moshe Halevi ben Shoshana. Okay, let's get started. And David ben Zohara. Let's get started. Oh no, and that's the big, and to our class sponsor, Yisachar and Zvulun sponsorship, we have the H&M Builders, the Dornbush family, doing this in honor of their grandfather. Be'ezrat Hashem, that the Dornbush family has have continued success in their businesses and their personal life, health, wealth, success, happiness, b'sorot tovot. Hashem v'arech otchem v'sameach otchem, and truly grateful for them supporting this class and supporting Torah, and for all the previous supporters of these classes. Everybody in the room has participated in sponsoring. So anyone who's sponsored in the past. Even my good friend Esther Bouton, that I miss, also used to sponsor a lot. Guy and Henshi, everybody else that was sponsoring, always grateful for that. All right, let's get started. So, we started the series, Did You Know? And Did You Know is things that, maybe you didn't come across. You never thought that, first of all, to think about it, let alone what's the Jewish angle on it? What does the Torah say about it? What does Chazal say about it? What does the Gemara, the Zohar? What's the Jewish perspective on things? And we did a nice few classes on water. However, as I was digging through Bereshit, there's an interesting character from the time of Bereshit, the Livyatan, the big whale. And it's more famously known, this big whale that I speak of from the time of Bereshit, is more famously known for Seudat Livyatan, of a special meal that takes place, with the main course being this whale, this Livyatan. And this Livyatan, from the beginning of time, from the first 6 days of creation, he was there right from the beginning. He is also the main character for the end of time. He is going to be there for the time of Mashiach. And this is very, very interesting, because it's not very often that we have someone that is there from the beginning, from the 6 days of creation, and is a key character, a key component of the story of the time of Mashiach, of Seudat Livyatan. So tonight, we're going to answer some questions. What is Seudat Livyatan? What is it? We're thinking that it's actually just a meal. We sit down and there's a whale on our plate and we eat it. Is that what's really happening over there? And as a matter of fact, who's the caterer? It's going to be a big meal. Who's catering that event? Not only that, who's coming to dinner? Who are the guests? Very, very interesting guest list you'll see. Another question is, Why a whale? Out of all the delicacies in the world, why would Hashem choose a whale for the time of Seudat Livyatan, or for the Seudat Mashiach that's going to be? And since this whale has been around since the time of Bereshit, where is it today? We got such amazing technology, underwater cameras, satellites. Later on, we'll describe the size of this fish. How come it's never popped up? How come we don't hear any stories about it? We hear about Bigfoot, we hear about Loch Ness Monster. We've never heard of the Livyatan popping up here and there. And you'd be surprised because the size that the Gemara tells us that it is, it's impossible that we can't spot it. There's a few other characters in the story, and we're going to find out about them. One of them is Shor Habar. What is Shor Habar? What is Ziz Sadai? What is that? It's another name or that pops up in Tehillim. Every once in a while you see it pops up in the Gemara, but it's a big part of the story of the Seudat Livyatan. Does God have a pet that he plays with? That's an easy question. Most kids know that. Most kids know that Hashem plays with this particular Livyatan every day. And a big part of the Seudat Livyatan has to do with a final battle. There's so many battles in this world. Husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, countries, all these different wars that are going on in the world. But at the end of time, there's going to be a final battle. Like the last fight in the world, there's going to be one character that this entire class is based on, but you'd be surprised who his opponent is. There's going to be the battle of the Livyatan and... Stay tuned. Now, in order to answer some of these questions, we have to go all the way back to the time of Bereshit. The Pesukim read like this. On the 5th day, it says, "Vayomer Elokim yishetzu hamayim sheretz nefesh chaya ve'of yofef al haaretz al pnei rekei hashamayim." In short, fish and birds were created on that day. The following pasuk says, "Vayivra Elohim et hataninim hagdolim," and Hashem created the great sea monsters, the taninim hagdolim. ואת כל נפש החיה רומסת אשר יצאו המים למניהם וכל עוף כנף למניהם ואלוהים כי טוב. Okay, Hashem saw that we created that day was good, with all the things, all the different type of fish in the water and all the type of different birds that were in the world. ויברך אלוהים לאמור פרו ורבו. On that day, Hashem says you should procreate, you should start to, multiply. ומילאו את המים בימים והעוף ירב בארץ, and fill up the waters and let the birds fill up the skies. That was on the 5th day. It's very interesting, every time I see the word Chamishi, it's also the same words Mashiach. So anytime they say, what day is Mashiach going to come in? Chamishi. So on that day, Chamishi, anything that happens on it, believe it or not, has a lot to do with the time of Mashiach. And here we're talking about the Seudat Mashiach, the final one, and the characters that are in it were created on when? Yom Chamishi. Very interesting. So let's zone in on Vayevra Elohim et Taninim Hagedolim. What are Taninim? Well, the simple explanation is not the two sea monsters, not the sea monsters, but there were two whales, two huge whales. As a matter of fact, nowadays the biggest whale we know, the biggest mammal alive, the biggest Livyatan alive, is the blue whale. That we have it recorded that it's as big as 24 meters long and as heavy as 160 tons. And the heart of that whale is the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. That gives you an idea of how big that fish is. That's the biggest whale. Chazal tell us that would be the trinket on a necklace for the Livyatan that we speak of from the time of Bereshit. That's how big it is. Furthermore, that's for the original size of the Taninim. Furthermore, the Zohar and the Talmud in Masechet Sotah tell us that the earth is standing on the wing or the fin of the Livyatan. Al kanaf hav Livyatan. Can you imagine the size? I want you to know, I have to give, they say if you repeat something in the name of the person that you learned it from, you bring the Mashiach closer. So it's interesting. I was talking to my son about this Livyatan 2 weeks ago. He told me, do you know that the whole world stands on its fin? It was very hard for me. I'm scratching my head. I was like, where's your sources? It's like my Mora. It's like, okay. And I go and I'm asking around all these rabbis and like, oh, I never heard that one before. Wouldn't you know it? One of the first things that I'm learning as I'm looking it up is that the rabbis tell us that the world is the earth, the ground is on the fin of the Livyatan. What does that mean? I don't even know. But could you imagine the size of this fish? Now, in the beginning, Hashem created the world, and everything in creation had two things: Zachar and Nekeva. There's not one thing on the planet that it doesn't have Zachar and Nekeva. Except if you were here for our class that we did on hybrid creatures, we found a couple of ones that missed the list. But basically, all of creation is Zachar and Nekeva. So the Taninim that we speak of, one was a male, the other one was a female. During the 6 days of creation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu killed the female. He salted her and he put her away, saving her for the great meal of Seudat Livyatan. It's for she was saved for the time of Atid Lavo. You should know there's a time and place in history. It's called La'atid Lavo, in the future to come. And that's the meal that this fish has been salted on it from the days of 6 days of Bereshit for Seudat Livyatan. The male was castrated. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sires et Livyatan, it says. Why? One, so he can't be with other fish. Why? We'll see that one of the things that Hashem saved the world from had to do with the castrating of this fish. And at the time of Seudat Livyatan, this particular Livyatan will be shechted as well, and will also be part of Seudat Livyatan. So we have the one that is salted and waiting for us, and then we have the male one that is going to be in the time of Mashiach. Also, this is going to be the one whale where we use its skin for Sukkot Oro Shel Livyatan. During the time of Sukkot, we always say, we're going to sit in the Sukkah that is going to be by the skin of a whale. Which whale are we talking about? This whale. And we're going to go later on and speak about this sukkah and what it means and what it looks like and what it feels like and who gets the merit and who doesn't. Later on, they say that after the Or Livyatan gets stretched over Eretz Yisrael and over this sukkah, the leftover pieces will be worn as trinkets on the necks of the people in Jerusalem.
It's going to have the Lighthouse project on it.
That Orosh Livyatan is the lighthouse. The Gemara tells us that they had to be destroyed. That he had to kill the female and he had to castrate the male, because had they stayed alive, the world will not be able to exist. It would have been destroyed if we kept him alive. The earth, the Gemara talks about them living together for that short period of time, that when they would move together, that the entire earth would rumble. And also, they say that should they have continued to be together, machrivim et olam kulo, that they had the power to destroy the entire world. These two whales. I always thought it's because they're so big. If they keep procreating, they have more of these big whales. Eventually, the ocean won't be able to house them, and they'll do some sort of destroy the planet one way or the other, because we need water and we need whatever. I just noticed, Mary, you have a whale on your shirt. You're like Mekave, no?
I told you.
Now, one of the reasons that that they had to be destroyed, machrivim et olam kulo, that they had the power to destroy the entire world, is not only because of their size. They had something additional in them that Hashem needed to eliminate early on, in the first few days of creation, in the 6 days of creation. And the rabbis tell us that the fish have the most amount of te'ava in any other creation on the planet. There's no other animal or fish or creature or anything in God's entire creation that has more te'ava than fish. And the world wouldn't be able to survive if this te'ava was part of it. As a matter of fact, we see that when it says over here that in the time of Bereshit, on the 5th day, it says Pru Urvu, right? Why is it Pru Urvu? Because that's what that's the first place that we see this concept of procreating. And not only that, the language that was used over there is Pru Urvu Umal'u Tamayim. They had the blessing to multiply. Did you ever see a fish? I mean, they give birth to hundreds, sometimes thousands of fish at a time. They have a very, very, very big te'ava. They also say you have to be careful not to be in the water for too long. Water brings a person a lot of te'ava as well. Anyone who's a water sign has to be careful from what? From ta'avot, because the water has a lot of, it's connected to the energy of te'ava.
What is te'ava?
Te'ava is when you have strong desires, mostly sexual desires. But you can have, the word can be used te'ava for food. You can have a te'ava for food. You're an overeater, gluttony. You can have a te'ava for the arayot. It's when you have a strong desire.
Uncontrolled desire.
Uncontrolled desire is a good addition, yes.
For the Ashkenazi people, it's taiva.
Taiva.
Thanks for the thing. It's okay. I'm an honorary Sephardi. So
That's why Hashem had to take away the female and castrate the male. Because had he not castrated the male, some way, somehow, the te'ava of that fish would have been able to, I don't know, be with another sort of fish, and then again, it'd be the danger of machriv et olam kulo. As a matter of fact, if you look closely at the word taninim inside the Torah, taninim has supposed to have 2 yudim. But if you look closely, it's missing 1 yud. Why? Because Hashem took away one of the whales. So you see the word taninim has only 1 yud because 1 was taken away. It's another hint to everything that we just discussed over here. Now,
but the same yud he gave to Yehoshua from Sarah. Remember we discussed that?
Love that. That's a
I love
beautiful
that one too.
chidush. Another part where we see the whale, still in the story of the time of Bereshit, that it's sort of hidden. It's not so popular. It's not very well known what we're going to learn together right now. Is that the Livyatan makes a cameo appearance again on the 6th day of Bereshit. You hear about it again. When Adam and Chava sinned, we see it says Vayas Hashem Elokim la'Adam ve'lishto kotnot or vayalbishem. It says that Hashem created for Adam and Chava these leather tunics. Or, right, is leather. However,
Whale-skin?
so the Midrash says that, we might have the image of fig leaves, like the way we see in all the drawings or in all the whatever it is that we see outside of the Torah world. But the rabbis tell us, Chazal tell us, that what Hashem created for them is actually clothing from the skin of that whale. Because Rabbi Meir in the Gemara says, don't read it kutnot or. He says, read it kutnot or. That they were bright, iridescent, shiny. You were able to actually, they were bright. And which backs up the opinion of Rabbi Meir that says that it's not kutnot or, rather kutnot or, made out of light. And we know that the skin of the Livyatan is actually translucent, iridescent. It does give off light. Later on, we'll see how it translates into the Seudat Livyatan in the Sukkah. Now, we have this big fish in the deepest part of the ocean, and the Gemara says that Hashem plays with this whale every single day. In Masechet Avodah Zarah it says, the first 3 hours, Hashem learns Torah. The following 3 hours, He judges the world. The following 3 hours, Zanet HaOlam, meaning he switches mode from judging the world of Din, and he switches into a mode of Rachamim. And Zanet HaOlam, meaning he not satisfies Mefarnes. Mefarnes is he supports the entire world. And the last 3 hours, he plays with the whale. Hashem, every single day, plays with this whale for 3 hours. As a matter of fact, if you ever read the Tehillim, chapter 104 of Barechi Nafshi, the one that we say right before Rosh Chodesh at night, right? Or on Rosh Chodesh, there's a special parak of Tehillim that we add to our prayer. It's the 104th chapter, which is called Barechi Nafshi. In there, you'll find the pasuk that says, Ze hayam gadol v'rechav yadayim. He says, this is the great ocean, wide and big. Sham remes ve'en mispar. It has a numerous amount of animals that live within it. Chayot ktanot im gedolot, small and large. Sham oniyot yalechun. That's where all the ships are going to be in the ocean. Livyatan-The yatzarta lesachek bo. The whale that you created, that you play with it. It's buried inside that perek of Tehillim, that little pasuk that talks about the Kadosh Baruch Hu playing with that Livyatan every single day. And this whale shows up several times after Bereshit. We saw that it came up during Yom Chamishi, the Taninim. We saw that on Friday it snuck in there with using its skin for the or, for Adam and Chava. The next time that we see this Livyatan is in Yonah, is in Sukkot, and in Seudat Livyatan, in the time of Mashiach. In Yonah, it's very interesting. The story goes like this, that when he got swallowed, the Midrash goes like this, that when he got swallowed by the dag, or the daga, whichever one it was at that time, he asked the fish to go all the way down to see this whale. He told him, no, I'm scared. He says, don't worry, I have something that will protect me and you, and I'll get you out of it. He says, no, this fish eats a lot, and I don't want to be its breakfast. It's amazing what the Gemara says. The Gemara says that there's fish in the water that on their forehead it says that I'll switch the words around. We are the whale's breakfast. Mezuman la Livyatan. And they actually go to him. And he actually drinks water. And they talk about coming from the river of Jordan, through the Kinneret, deep under the ground, deep under the ocean. And that's the waters that go straight into its mouth. Incredible, like the way that Hashem is taking care of this particular Livyatan. But in the story of Yonah, when he was in the belly of the Daga, he asked him to go visit this Livyatan. And the fish was scared. He promised him, he gave him a guarantee that I have the power to get you out of it. And as soon as they get to the Livyatan, he opens up his mouth, or the fish opens up its mouth and reveals Yonah. So he tells him, who are you? He goes to him, I'm going to be the one that shechts you in the future. Because if you study the story of Yonah, you know that Yonah is eventually going to be Mashiach ben Yosef. And what did he do? He showed him his Brit Milah. As soon as he showed him his Brit Milah, what happens? This whale ran away the distance of 2 days' trip. He got scared from him. Why? Because that's his end. That's his butcher. He got scared. But Yonah went downstairs to tell him, I'm going to see you soon. I'll see you in a little bit. I'm going to be the one that's shechting you. And he was really able to get that fish not to be the breakfast of the whale. But that's the next time that when you read Yonah and read Midrashim, they talk about this Livyatan again. Later on, or maybe you didn't notice it, but almost every, I'm sure we notice it. We notice it when it's around. Usually in the time of Sukkot, we mention in Birkat HaMazon, in Harachman, we just mention a special thing during Sukkot, and it says, Harachman hui zakenu leishev besukat orosh Livyatan, that he shall give us the merit to be able to sit in a sukkah that is covered by the skin of the Livyatan. We pray for it in our Birkat HaMazon. Every time we say Birkat HaMazon in Sukkot, we pray to be in the sukkah covered by the skin of this Livyatan. As a matter of fact, on the last day of Sukkot in Hoshana Rabbah, one of the prayers that we say is that we want to merit. You sometimes even see it on some of the Sukkot, they have it like as one of the blessings, that I shall merit to be one of the ones that's going to be sitting in the Sukkot Livyatan in the time of Mashiach. Something that we pray for, just like we pray for a good etrog. Just like we pray for to be part of Mashiach. There's a prayer that we want to be sitting in a sukkah in the time of Mashiach. And every Sukkot we say it. And the question is, what does it mean? What does it mean? Again, why do we want to be in a sukkah covered by a whale skin? Not only time, when is it this time that they speak of? You know it's the time of Mashiach, but when is time of Mashiach? And not only that, this Seudat Livyatan that we're talking about, that we're praying on in the Sukkot, who gets to be in this meal? It seems like everybody's praying for it, but who's going to show up? Who's going to be in attendance? So before we get to the details of the Seudah, there's a few things that need to happen first. Meaning, we'll get to the Seudah, but before that, in the end of days, in the times of Mashiach, besides what's going on in the world, Armageddon, Gog and Magog, Milchamot, Mashiach should come on the side of Chesed, on the side of Deen, whether we merit for him to come because of our good actions, or maybe because time ran out and he has to come because it's too late. Regardless of what it is, in the time of Mashiach, there's going to be an additional battle. And the battle is going to be between the Livyatan and Shor Habor. Who is Shor Habor? Shor means bull. Habor means like a wild bull. So the Shor Habor is similar to the Livyatan. In the time of creation, Hashem created a beast just as big as the Livyatan. A few actually. He created an off, a bird that was like that size, a bull that was that size, and a fish that was that size. One is called Shor Habor, which is the one that we're talking, because you should know that also there's a klal. Anything that's on land is also in the sea. Just like we have huge dinosaurs on land, where there's a huge Livyatan. Just like we have, in Hebrew it's called a kelev yam. Just like we have a kelev over here, we have a kelev yam. What's a kelev yam? A sea lion. It's called a sea lion, but in Hebrew it's a dogfish. Not a dogfish, but it's a sea lion. Or another thing, we have a horse and we have a seahorse. We have a snake, we have an eel. Everything that you have on the land, you can find in the water, etc., etc. However, there are three animals that Hashem created during the time of Bereshit. One is called Shor Habar, which is the shoresh of all the behemot. He's like the essence, the epitome, the DNA, the main one of all the behemot. The one that represents all the animals. Then there's the Livyatan, which is the shoresh, the root of all the dagim. And then there's a Ziz Sadai, which is the shoresh of the Ofot. Just to give you an idea, the Gemara says that there was a rabbi, his name escapes me right now, this is also brought in the Gemara, that saw this bird. And he saw that it was standing in the water, and his head was touching the sky. So he saw that if the bird is standing inside the water, maybe, he'll go for a dip. He thought like somewhere where you can just go and cool down. When he went into the water, he saw that the water, there was a bat kol from the Shamayim that came to him, be careful when you go into that water. And he told him why. He says because there's a person who dropped a metal axe in the same spot where that bird is 2 years ago, and it still didn't reach the bottom of the ocean. And that's where the bird is standing, and its head is in the Shamayim. That's how big this bird is. The Gemara brings this, that the rabbi saw this bird. Shor Habar, imagine, is another. If the Livyatan is so big, Shor Habar was also one of these very huge animals. They say that Shor Habar also had a female companion, just like with Zachar and Nekeva, and Hashem did the exact same thing. He shechted the animal and castrated the male. And they say that the Shor Habar grazes every single night on 1,000 mountains. Every single night, his food is eating the grass from 1,000 mountains. And there's another opinion that he eats the grass of 1,000 mountains and also the animals that are on top of it. Could you imagine? So in the end of war, in the end of days, there will be a battle between Shor Habar and Livyatan. And the short of the long is that the Shor is going to gore the Livyatan and kill him. But at the exact same moment, the Livyatan with his tail is going to whip his tail and is going to kill the Shor. Like a double knockout. And they're both going to die. There's also an opinion that actually it was Gabriel Malach that came to kill the Shor Habar and he wasn't able to do it. He tried, he brought many angels to do it. He couldn't kill this Livyatan until Hashem came and helped him. And then we also have the opinion that we had Yonah that said he was going to shecht him. A lot of different opinions, but for this battle of the Shor and the Livyatan, that they died at the same time, these are the two items that are going to be on the menu in this Seudat. We're going to eat from the Shor Habar and we're going to eat from this Livyatan. Steak and sushi. Surf and turf. Surf and turf. And they said that who's going to be handling the Seudah? Malach Gabriel is going to be the shochet. Malach Raphael is going to be the baker, the ofeh. And Malach Michael is going to be Sarah Mashkim, the one who's the butler, the one who's in charge of all the drinks. And the rabbis tell us that these are the angels that ate in Abraham's tent. The one that gave him the tongue in mustard. These are the ones who are going to be the caterers for this party, the ones that are going to be handling all the details. And in this Seudah, we're going to have meat, we're going to have chicken, we're going to have the Livyatan, we're going to have almonds, and we're going to have the man. And a special yain, special wine, yain meshumar misheshet yemei bereshit. Special wine that was kept from the 6 days of creation. So we have Livyatan, Shor, in other words, we have the whale, the bull, the chicken, we have the man, we have the special wine, and we have the almonds. And also a very special guest list. They say that Adam HaRishon is going to do Hamotzi Lechem Min HaShamayim. Remember that we're doing the whole thing Hamotzi Lechem Min HaAretz because of him. Finally he gets to be Hamotzi Lechem Min HaShamayim. Remember how hard he had to work. He's the original one that had to discover how to make bread with thorns on the field. He had it hard. So he's going to have the zchut to do Hamotzi Lechem Min HaShamayim. So let's go down the list. This is very, very interesting. So we know the Livyatan, we'll get to it. We know the Shor, we got to it. Chicken, you got it. The man, the Rama from Pano tells us that they're going to bring the tzitzit, the little jar where they kept the man. Rama from Pano says that they're actually going to bring that tzitzit and everybody's going to eat from it. Funny little footnote. The man it was supposed to be the type of food that whatever you thought of tasted like it. Except for one thing. Guess what? The Livyatan. It's the one thing that Hashem made it that they can't wish that it be the taste of the Livyatan. Why? Because the Livyatan has ta'ava. And he didn't want the food that they're eating to have ta'ava, and it would change their character. So one of the only things that the man couldn't be is the Livyatan.
I don't know why you'd want to taste whale, but that's a whole nother issue.
If we had a couple of Japanese in the room, they'll beg to differ.
You don't know if it tastes good. It's like anything else if you haven't acquired a taste for it.
So they say, why would there be almonds? What a weird thing again to throw in there. It says that the almonds are going to come from the staff of Aharon. Remember in last week's parasha, in Parashat Korach, we put 12 staffs in Kodesh HaKodashim, and the one that started to give flowers of, and the Midrash tells us, of almonds, was the one of Aharon. And that is the one that we're going to take the almonds from. Why? Because almonds are, a little hack for you guys for everyday life, are if you eat almonds, it saves you from chaos. If people have anger issues, they tell them, eat almonds. It calms you down. And why would that be? He says, because at that time, there's no more anger. At the time of Seudat Mashiach, there's no more anger. In order to symbolize that, and we'll see later on even more so to strengthen this point why we're doing that, is we eat almonds. Just since we're on this almond tip, if you ever want to know what is the most important thing about the parasha, you have to go into the Haftarah. Whatever the Haftarah talks about, that's exactly the most important part of the parasha speaks of. So on Parashat Korach, it talks over there about the destruction of Jerusalem. And it says over there, שמחו את ירושלים והגילו בה כל אוהביה, עשישו מסוג כל המתאבלים עליה. And it talks about the breaching of the walls, and it talks about a time where Jerusalem is going to be in dire situation. And Rav Ovadia Yosef Zecher Tzadik Livracha one time said in his drasha, he says, you know what's the connection between the Haftarah and the parasha? He says, just like the staff of Aharon gave life to almonds or the flowers of almonds. He says, you know how long the process is before a flower or a bud turns into an actual almond? Do you know how long that takes? 3 weeks. From the time that it opens up as a flower to the time that it actually gives you an almond, it's 3 weeks. And he says, what's the connection of that to Yerushalayim? He says, because the time between Yud Zayin B'Tammuz and Tisha B'Av is 3 months. I'm sorry, 3 weeks. I thought that was a beautiful chidush from Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. So we see that the reason for the almonds are there. It says that David HaMelech is going to do kiddush. In Talmud Bavli, it goes like this. It says, Atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu lasot seuda letzadikim. In the time to come, in Atid Lavo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to do a big seuda to the tzadikim. When? Beyom shigamel chasdo lezar'o shel Yitzchak. On the day that he wants to repay the chesed to the seed of Yitzchak. Why? Why not to the seed of Avraham? Why is he skipping over Avraham and not skipping and going straight to Yitzchak? Because you should know that Yitzchak has a medal. He was able to earn something in this world that nobody did. He was the first one in the world to come in through Kedusha. He was the first person on planet Earth to come into the world with Kedusha, which is what? Avraham Avinu, he already, before he got his Brit Milah, he already had Ishmael. Mm-hmm. So after he had Ishmael, 13 years later, he has Yitzchak. And Yitzchak, when Avraham Avinu had him, he was conceived in ultimate Kedusha. So we see that during the Seudah, we're canceling out the fish that has the enormous amount of what? Te'ava. The Te'ava for the Arayot. So what do we celebrate over there? We say, no, you know what we celebrate? The Yitzchak. That's what's appropriate to highlight in this particular Seudah. And it says, V'lachar shochlim v'shotnin, notim lo l'Avraham kol shel bracha levarech. So they bring a cup of wine to Avraham to bless. So here we go. We got a Kiddush cup. And now it's going to go around the room. Look at this.
Wow.
They give it to Avraham. He says, I'm not blessing. She'yatzah mimeni Ishmael. He says, because Ishmael came out of me. How can I make a bracha in this Seudah? Omer lo Yitzchak, to levarech. He goes to Yitzchak, you bless. He tells him, no. Omer lo lahen, eni mevarech. She'yatzah mimeni Esav. He says, I can't. Esav came out of me. How can I bless? Omer lo leYaakov, to levarech. He says, okay, Yaakov, you take over. Omer lo eni mevarech. Shenasati shte achayot b'chayein. He says, I can't. I married 2 sisters. שעתידה תורה לאסורה להן, and the Torah forbids being married to two sisters. So אומר לו משה, תורה לברך, they pass it on to Moshe, and the cup is going around there like a hot potato. He says, okay, Moshe, you bless. ואמר להם, אני מברך. Moshe says, I'm not blessing. שלא זכיתי להיכנס לארץ ישראל, לא בחייו, לא מותי. He says, I never merited to be in Eretz Israel, not in my life and not in my death. I can't have this honor. אומר לו ליהושע, תורה לברך. He goes, Yoshua, why don't you do the blessing? He tells him, אני מברך. He says, I'm not going to bless. שלא זכיתי לבן, I never had a son. He wasn't able to perform the mitzvah of פריה ורבייה. אומר לו לדוד, תורה לברך. They come to דוד המלך. He said, דוד המלך, you bless. אומר להם, אני אברך. David HaMelech says, oh, I'll bless. He says, why? Veli na'eh levarech. I'm the right person for this. Na'eh. It's appropriate. I'll be the one to make the beracha. Why? He says, why? Shenemar, kos yeshurot esa, u'shem Adonai ekra.
Wow.
He says, that's my pasuk. I should definitely be the one to make the kiddush. And he did that. You have that in Talmud Babli, in Masechet Pesachim. As a matter of fact, there's a song about the Seudat. I don't know if you know about it. I'm not going to sing it. Yes, I am. But it says over here what's going to happen in the Seudat. It says it's Rabbeinu Yosef Chaim, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. I want to say it's the Ben Ish Chai.
Yep.
Wrote the song. Ma nochal b'Seudat hazot. What are we going to eat in the Seudat? Shor habar v'Livyatan. He says we're going to eat shor habar v'Livyatan. What are we going to drink? Yain HaMeshumar, the wine from the 6 days of Bereshit. It says, Umi yagid lanu divrei Torah b'seudah hazot. Who's going to say Dvar Torah? Moshe Rabbeinu says he brings the luchot, the first set of luchot, and he says divrei Torah. Umi nagen lanu b'seudah hazot. Who's going to play music for us? David HaMelech. Umi tetzeh b'machol b'seudah hazot. And who's going to dance for us during the Seudah? Miriam הנביאה. ומי תשיר לנו בסעודה הזאת? And who's going to sing for us in this סעודה? דבורה הנביאה. ומי יברך אותנו בסעודה הזאת? And who's going to bless us in the סעודה? אליהו הנביא. And I'll just give you the last thing. It says, ומי יברך אותנו בסעודה הזאת? And then you say, אליהו הנביא יברך אותנו, דבורה הנביא תשיר לנו, מרים הנביאה תצא במחול. You just repeat each one. דוד המלך ינגן לנו. And you go on and on and on. So it's like, so it's like one of those things that when you get to the end, you're saying all of them one after the other. Mm-hmm. And I have a friend of mine that does it great, and it says, and who's going to sell us real estate? And who's going to be the ones going to learn? So he points to everyone, to their profession, and he says that. It's actually great. He does it amazing, because he does it on point, and he has a good voice, and he rhymes. Very, very cool. But you see that the Ben Ish Chai, you sure it's Ben Ish Chai? Yosef Chaim, Chazak, wrote a song about this that typically we say it in certain people that know this song on Shabbat, we like to sing it. Now, what's happening in this Seudah is something very unique. You have to understand. Besides David, Moshe, Aaron, all these people that we're seeing over there, what a dais we have over here. Who are the regular Joes that are going to be there? Who merits to be in the Seudah? The rabbis tell us that it's going to be Be'ezrat Hashem and everybody here. It's going to be all the tzaddikim, all the ones that kept the Torah, all the ones that were able to save themselves from ta'avot, all the ones that built themselves the sukkah, all the ones that had all the kavanot tovot. You know, all those times you're like, oh, I wish I could have went to minyan, I missed it. I wish I could have gone to that class, oh, I missed it. It's like all those people that wanted to be good and were good, they're going to be, Hashem is going to repay them in the time of this Seudat Livyatan. And he says that al atid lavo, Hashem is going to give them ta'amei Torah. What he's going to do is going to reveal. He says, he's going to tell them why two sisters are not allowed. He's going to let us know why we don't eat meat and milk. He's going to tell us why we don't eat pig. He's going to tell us why there's no kilayim, why we don't mix two species. And then he tells that after he reveals to them, he opens up the door to Gan Eden and he tells them, "Here, come." And he enter Gan Eden and he gives them to drink from the wine of 6 days of Bereshit. few other things that came up in the Gemara. It says, אלו דברים עתיקים שלא נתגלו לאדם מיום שנברא העולם, ועתידים להתגלות צדיקים לעתיד לבוא, וזוהי השתייה והאכילה. He says all this, it seems like it's very physical, eating and drinking, right? What's going on over here? He says this eating and this drinking is going to reveal to them secrets and Torah nuances that were never revealed from the beginning of time. Brand new Torah, fresh, rip the plastic off, never heard before.
Just from the food.
Just from the food. The food is going to bring out
The knowledge.
the Torah of that time. It's a special Torah that was saved for the time of La'atid Lavo. Furthermore, it says, the pasuk reads like this: Sheneema ichru alav chaverim. From this words ichru, he learns from there that it's a seudah, and chaverim, who's chaverim? The talmidei chachamim. So, and when it says hayoshevet baganim chaverim makshivim lekolecha shmieni from Shir HaShirim, the rabbi is telling us over here. This is from the Midrash. He says that the meal is going to be when Hashem invites all the tzaddikim, and he tells them, "You are my friends, my chaverim. Enjoy the seudah, and I'm going to reveal brand new Torah to you." That's who gets merit to be in this sukkah from Orosh Livyatan. Now it says on this sukkah shel Oro Livyatan. Since we mentioned it, let's talk about this sukkah that's covered by the skin of the Livyatan. It says, Rabbi Yochanan, the Gemara says, Atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu lasot sukkah letzadikim. That in the time to come, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to build a sukkah for the tzadikim from Oro shel Livyatan. So he says, Zacha osino sukkah. If he merited, he gets to be in the sukkah. Lo zacha osim lo tzaltzal. Says if he doesn't merit it, a little, he gets a little shade from somewhere else from it.
Balcony seats.
And this Or of Livyatan, we already said that it has a certain light to it. It's translucent, right? It says, this is excellent for the lighthouse, that we're a light unto the world. It says that literally, at the time of Mashiach, this or is going to be on top of the sukkah of all the tzaddikim being on it, and it's going to be lit up so bright that the entire world is going to be able to see the sukkah. The entire world will see the light coming from the sukkah. I'm imagining it like, those spotlights in Hollywood where they have those things that travel. I feel like that sukkah is going to be like one big light that you can see from everywhere. And it says that there's going to be extra skin from this. Besides the Orosh Livyatan, besides the Seudah, besides the sukkah, there's still going to be extra skin. Imagine how big is this whale. He says that he's going. And then what they're going to do is they're going to cut it into pieces, and they're going to be able to sell it in the markets as an ornament. You could actually wear it on you. Incredible. But all this story has a much deeper subplot. I would say that right now we learned a little bit of the pshat, with a little bit of the drash, but this is when we're going deep into the abyss. Chazal tell us that the Taninim, the two big whales in the time of Bereshit, are actually the Samech Mem and his wife, the Lamed Yud, and Taf. And the reason why Hashem had to do that is because he had to kill her and he had to castrate him, because if they were alive, embodied in this animal, the Te'ava in the world will Yachriv et ha'olam kulo.
Yeah. Wow.
It wouldn't.
I missed who you.
The devil and his wife.
English.
Yeah.
The devil and his wife.
Yeah,
The devil and his wife.
We don't like you're not supposed to say the word.
It says the Livyatan is a klipa. It's a klipa, like a shell, a shell that blocks of the Sitra Achra. And the Livyatan being the king of all fish, which Livyatan equals the Gematria of Malchut, meaning he was the king of all the fish. He says that the war that we spoke about, the battle between Shor HaBor and the Livyatan, is actually a big war for the end of time. It has to be the final battle. Why? Because the Shor, where in other places you can, they call him Bahamot, not Behemot, Bahamot. There's a lot of Pesukim in Tehillim where you can find the word Bahamot, which is for the Shor, represent the Te'ava or the Ta'avot for Achila v'Shtiya. The Ta'ava for food. For the eating and the drinking, that's what Shor HaBar represents. Then we had the Livyatan. The Livyatan, we said from the beginning of time, he had the Ta'avat for the Nashim. The Ta'ava for Pirya v'Rivya. We saw how, that's why the fish are like that. They have the biggest Ta'ava in the world. The fish have it. They represent those klipot. So we have Achila v'Shtiya and Ta'avat Nashim. The three biggest klipot in the world. And they're now fighting each other, and what happens? They kill each other. Why? Because there is no more Te'ava for Achila and Shtiya, and there is no more Te'ava for Nashim. Look what it says over here. Harav Tzadok brings in his Midrash, Kedushat Seudat del Atid, the holiness of the Seudah from the time to come. Milivyatan v'Shor HaBar v'Yayin Meshumar. He says, you know why there's the Livyatan, and you know why there's the Shor, and you know why there's the wine. שיזכו על ידי ניצוח וזביחת שלושה יצרים. Because this is what cancels the three yetzarim, the three temptations that we had, the yetzer da'ara that we have, that we live with every day, which is what?
It'll be obliterated. There won't be no Yetzer Hara anymore.
He says there are three yetzarim of ta'ava, ka'as, and ge'ut. And these are the three things hamotziim et ha'adam ma'olam. He says these are the things that take people out of the world because we chase these desires.
Pride, anger,
And and at that time, it's going to be the final battle. No more battle with food, with drinking, and with the ta'ava of arayot. And we know that is the shorish for many other ta'avot in this in our lifetime. However, the Seudah, this is a beauty right now. The Seudah is actually a transitional meal. What is the Seudah? You have to understand, Mashiach is here. The Yetzer Hara is no longer with us. All these klipot in the world, which is the Shor HaBar for the Achila v'Shtiya, the Livyatan for the Arayot, they're gone. We're in a different state of mind. We're in a state of Olam Haba. We're in a state of Atid Lavo.
purity.
So, why are we so concerned with the physicality of all these foods? I mean, it seems like the body doesn't need all of that. It's gone. The Shor and the Livyatan are gone. I don't need the food. I don't need the drink. I don't even desire it anymore. There's no energy in the world that's drawing me to it. However, this Seudah is not a physical experience. The Seudah is actually a spiritual experience. Our souls get elevated to a different state. Less chomiyut, less gashmiyut, and it's all ruchaniyut. It's all spirituality. And that's why it's called Seudat Livyatan. Listen to this. What's the shorish of the word Livyatan?
Sounds like Levaya, but it's not.
On the money. What's Levaya?
Funeral.
Another.
Oh,
Escort.
There you go.
that's it. That's what, yeah.
What's Livui? It's an escort.
Right, escort, that's right.
So the Livyatan, the Seudat Livyatan is actually a Seudat Livui. It's a Seudah of an escort. Of what? Of the physical being escorted away,
Wow.
and the soul being escorted into a spiritual life, into a Ruchaniyut. Seudat Livyatan Livui
Right.
10. It's a Livui, it's a Seudah Livui. We're saying bye body, bye physicality, Here comes Ruchaniyut, the time of Mashiach. No Yetzer Hara, no Ta'avot, only Torah. Seudat Livyatan is your livu. You're getting escorted through these foods. You're getting escorted through this transitional meal. This Seudat that we're speaking of tonight. You know, you get so excited hearing these words. You want to be part of it. You know, you want to be on the list. How do I get in? The rabbis tell us, build a sukkah. Build a sukkah. Sleep in the sukkah. You can't sleep in the sukkah? Tell Hashem, I want to sleep in the sukkah, but I can't. There's rats outside. I want to sleep in the sukkah. I can't, but there's rain outside. Hashem says, but you wanted to be in the sukkah. You wanted to be in the sukkah? Don't worry, I'll take care of you. Come up to my sukkah. How about you? Hashem, I want to come to the Lighthouse on Wednesday. And you come. And then you can't. You know, I have all these things, but I want to come to... You wanted to come to Lighthouse on Wednesday? Don't worry. Because you wanted, I'm going to take you to my house. You're going to learn Torah in my house. In my Lighthouse. With the... Arosha Livyatan.
The real one.
The real one. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot more can be said. A lot more can be said. A lot more can be learned from the Seudat Livyatan. Sometimes you look at it like, who wants to learn about a whale? But who would even think that this Seudah is the transitional meal from our physicality into our ultimate spirituality, that 1,000 years of Mashiach, of peace with no Yetzer Hara. The reason that I wanted to have this transitional lesson between water and the Livyatan that dealt me to it, because it talks about the end of times. And I think the next few lessons will talk about, before the end of time, we have to give a lot of attention to Yerushalayim, third Bet HaMikdash, and Mashiach. So I jumped the gun. I went all the way to the end. Next week we're going to bring it back to the beginning and speak about the time period that we're in, Tammuz, you know, feeling for Yerushalayim, not having Bet HaMikdash with us, learning about Bet HaMikdash. Maybe we'll do some lessons about the first, the second, the third, some of the kelim. You know, sometimes you say Bet HaMikdash, what is it really? What's inside? What's the purpose of everything? Maybe we'll get to know Bet HaMikdash a little bit better. You know, get to know Bet HaMikdash a little bit better than just thinking of it just a building where they sacrifice animals, like some sort of barbecue house for Jews. And maybe just bring...
Just have the Seudat of Mashiach after Pesach.
They do that. Yeah. They do that as well. So Be'ezrat Hashem sheniskeh to be matzliach in our tikkun in this world, that we be matzliach in our kavanah, that we always want to be protected in the sukkot of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and that Be'ezrat Hashem that we all merit to be in the sukkot of Seudat Livyatan, to be part of that VIP guest list, and Be'ezrat Hashem that in the time to come, Seudat Seudat Livyatan will be the real lighthouse that we're all searching for. שהשם יברך אתכם, ישמח אתכם, שיתו לבכם לחילה, פסיגו נותן למען תספר דור אחרון.